Okay, so in the beginning we're going to be talking just some background for the first Mishnah. So background for the first Mishnah. This is the beginning of Maseches Nidda. The first Mishnah is talking about. We know that the Bible says the Chumash says in Vayikra in Leviticus that if a woman who is who sees menstruation blood, so she's impure for 7 days, and during those 7 days she can't touch truma and she can't touch truma or kudshim or meisers. There's certain things that need to be maintained to be pure, and she's in a state of impurity, so she can't. If she touches them, then they're disqualified. Nowadays, this is like we don't really do anything of this sort, but that's what we're talking about. The first question in the Mishnah, the first thing we're going to deal with is when a woman sees when a woman sees menstrual blood. So for sure, from that point on, everything she anything she touches with any truma she touches will become tame. But what about beforehand? Do we assume that right now is when she started menstruating, or do we say that maybe it happened earlier and therefore make things that she touched earlier tummy? And essentially, that's the question that we're dealing with this Mishnah. So says Shammai Omer Kol Noshim Dayan Sha'atan. So Shammai says all women, it's enough the time that they see. It's that you don't have to go back. You could assume that as soon as she saw is when as soon as she saw, that when she saw, that's when she became a Nidda. Um, so here, this is Beisham Omer Kohanoshim Dayan Shatan. It's the second. So yeah, Beisham says all women die in Shatan. It's enough when they saw it. We don't go back. Beis Hillel says Mipkida Lifkida Afil Yom Harbe. So Beis Hillel says that from the last time she checked herself until now, everything she did from the last time she checked herself until now, we assume that as soon as or we have to assume that as soon as she checked herself, right afterwards, it started, or at least we have a doubt whether it started, and therefore until then, um, she everything from that point backwards, we all the truma she touched, and all the taharas that she touched, will be assumed tamei. Then we have the chachamim, and the chachamim say like divrei zeh, like divrei zeh. They say that we disagree with both opinions. El meit leis memaetes al yedei mifkida lifkida, mifkida memaetes al yedei me'es leis. So the Chachamim say no, not like not like Shammai or like Hillel. Rather, me'es le'es is memayet alidei mifkida lifkida. So when the ace lace is 24 hours. So meaning the furthest you'll ever go back is 24 hours, and 24 hours is shortened by checking. So let's say you checked in less than 24 hours and you didn't find anything. So of course you wouldn't have to go back and recheck. So sorry, if you so 24 hours is the most you'll go back. You won't have to go back further than than that if you didn't check in the past 24 hours. And fkida lefkida is it minimizes me'es le'es. So if you checked within 24 hours, you only have to go back to the first time you checked. So all this is the first part of the Mishnah over here. This is all for the first part of the Mishnah up until here. So this is the three-way machlokes, Shammai, Hillel, and the Chachamim. Now it says Kol isha sheyesh leveses daya shata. Any woman that has a vest she's daya shaita. That's what we said before. Dayan shaitan means, I'm just gonna highlight them differently to differentiate. So Kol isha sheyesh leveses daya shaita. Any woman who has a veses, so we don't assume we have to go back. Now, and also we're gonna say Hamishameshes be'edim Hereza kefkidu mesadim me'es le'es sadim kefkidu lefkida. That somebody who is using edim, that is considered like that's like somebody who is that is also like a that's like a that's also considered a checking that is that minimizes ace to ace because of the checking. So if you Adim is we're gonna see. We'll highlight in Rashi. Mishnah Adim Shabbatka Atzma Be'aid, the Hainu Besadin, Kaidan Tashmis, Lachatashmis. So she checked herself with what we call an aid. An aid does not mean a witness, which is what it means in a lot of cases. Rather, it's a certain sheet, it's a white cloth that she uses to check before and after marital relations. So it says, al yad meis le'es. So it says, Imra Sadam Achar Bdikas Arvis Vishim Shabbatarayim. So she saw blood after checking in the evening, and she had relations in the afternoon. So we're not going to say. So the general idea that they would do is they would have that if a woman was dealing with taharat, they would have two daily checkings, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if she saw blood after the evening one, but she had relations in the afternoon, so we're not going to be matar everything until the morning, because before Tashmish, and so she found that she was pure. So we've already determined that whatever happened was only from the time of Tashmish and onward. Okay. Okay, so now that's part 2 of the Mishnah. Maybe I'll do this in. Okay. So now it says. So now we say Keta Dayashaita. How does she? What does it mean? What's the case of Dayashaita? So it says Hi, she was Mita. She was sitting in a bed, Vasuka B'Taharis, and she was dealing with Taharis, truma, things that have to be maintained pure. Uparsha Urasa, and she left and she saw. Hitmei v'heim Tahara. So she is impure because she left and she saw, and they are pure. I will be sure. I'm time ace ace, and okay, so that's that. So let's do another one here. And now this last thing that was. Even though they said that she's matama for the past 24 hours in a moina el misha shirasa. So she's not going to start counting. It says in the Bible that it says in Chumash that a woman who's a Nidda, so she's tummy for 7 days. So these 7 days you're not going to count from 24 hours. Um, you're not going to count from 24 hours backwards. You're going to count from. Okay, let's just. You're going to count from the time where she actually sees. Okay, so these are so we have a three. First, we have a three-way machlokes as to how far back you go. Dayan Shaitan is Shammai says Dayan Shaitan. Hillel, which means that you don't go back at all. You own all women, and when they see, that's when we assume that they see all. Beis Hillel says Mifkid Lifkida Filiam Harbe, that from the last time they checked, even if they didn't check for many days. And Hachamim say no, both of those are off, but rather the most it could ever go back is 24 hours, and then if you check, it will make less than 24 hours. Then we have another part. Then the next part of the mission says woman who has a veses. Okay, so I don't know if we described what veses is. Veses is a. It's a good thing that we're going back over this. A veses is kol ishesh veses. It says kavua gimel palmim mebadka matzah mishas vesta. So she has a vest kavua. Any woman who has a vestas kavua, meaning that she sees at a certain intervals, or sometimes a certain day of the month. We'll see what the exact how you can be kaveh a vest, how you could set a vest. But however you set the vest means a set time that she sees. So in such a case, daya shaita. So says Rashi. We're not going to see every Rashi, but daya shaita means the v'lekel mei with the mikara hava hasam. Divide arach bezmaneba. So it says it's meaning is she's daya so don't say that 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 it was there originally because vadai arach bezmaneba because the it will come at its normal time. So therefore, meaning the idea is that she has a vest, and Rashi's mashma that she has a vest, and she checks on her vest. In such a case, we'll say that that vade arach bismareba, that for sure that came at its given time. Um, okay, so that's the Mishnah. So again, so yeah, so you have we said so far we said three-way machlokes dayan shaitan, mekid lifkida, and me'es le'es. And we said any woman who has a veses, so she's then we don't go back. This seemingly is according to all opinions, right? We'll see later in the Gemara; it will be more clarified. And then we said meshes be'edim. That's like a kida. So we'll see what the chiddush is here. But the checking that someone does before marital relations, that's also considered a checking that also would be considered such a checking that would minimize the time that you'll go back, the retroactive time um, that you'll go back. It will make it less than 24 hours or less than the last time that it's considered a checking. And then it says the way that the Dayashaita. Then we say how Dayashaita works. Is she's sitting on a bed and she's dealing with Taurus and she leaves and sees, so she's Tmei there, and so she's Tmei obviously because she saw, but everything she touched in that 24-hour period beforehand is Tahor. And then it says Now this is basically how we explained it. So we'll see if there's anything else that's this mission is adding. And then we said even though we said that she's matama me'es le'es, even though we said that we go back 24 hours from when she sees and she's matama everything from there, but she doesn't count the 7 days of Nidda from then. She counts 7 days Nidda from the time that she sees. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Okay, so now says the Gemara, my time is a Shammai. What's the reasoning of Shammai? So it says Kesavar. So let's do Shammai. Shammai is yellow. So my time is Shammai. Kesavar Hamid Isha al Cheskasa Isha Bechezkes Tahar Imedes. He says you should um, keep have the woman keep the woman by her chazaka, her status quo, right? Until you know that anything is different, keep the woman as her status quo, and she has a status quo of being pure. She doesn't has a quo of not being a nida. Um, Vihil Amar Hillel says he disagrees. He says Ki Amar Hamed Davar al Cheskasai. He says when do we say Hamed Davar al Cheskasai? Heichedeleka Reyes Amigufa. That's dafka when there's no the thing that would detract from the status quo is not from the thing itself. Um, Ve'isasa and a woman, Aval Isasa, Kim the Megus Kachazia, Lemrin Ukmal Achazkasa. So, but this woman, since she's seeing from her, so we don't say um, Hemidavar al Cheskasai. So yeah. Um, so Rashi says, what does it mean that she sees from herself? It says Kivan the Migufa Kachazia. It says so. He says Mu'ada ve'alula lachach ve'ein laches kastar. So it says he says what does it mean that it's Migufa Kachazia? It means that a woman is prone to see blood. We know that women they menstruate. So it's not like there's a external factor that is causing that is she has a chazaka that she has to that we should assume the status quo that she's tahara because we know that women see blood. That's what they do. Okay, so that is the machlokes. So Beis Shammai says that we should assume the status quo. So until we see otherwise, we assume she's tahara. And Beis Hillel says no, since a woman is mu'ada valula lirais, since a woman, according to Rashi, since a woman is prone to seeing blood, so therefore there's no such thing as a cheskes tahara, and therefore we go back to the last time she checked. Okay, so now we're gonna go. So now we've just explained what. Um, now we've explained the machlokes, and now we're gonna we're gonna try to find proofs from one to the other. This proof, according to Rashi, is according to both of them as a question. Next question is according to both of them. It says Ma'ishna mi mikvah. What's the difference between this case and a case of mikvah? This non we learn a brisa here. Let's just highlight the brisa. So the Mishnah. Sorry, we learned the Mishnah. Mikvah shenim. Just mikvah shenim dad v'nim sachaser. A mikvah that was measured and found to be missing. So mikvah, and the minimal size of a mikvah is 60 saw, which is basically the amount it's a measurement that is not particularly um, you know it's not particularly useful nowadays. But mikveh is 60 saw, um, which is basically a square amma by an amma width, and then the height of 3 amos. An amma is a cubit, so 1 by 1 cubit, and then 3 cubits high. That volume of water is the minimum amount that you need for a mikveh. Um, so if you measured a mikveh and it was found to be lacking these, so this mikveh was at some point determined to have 60 saw, and then at some point you find it was lacking 60 saw. So if it doesn't have 60 saw, so it's not mataher. So it says a mikveh that was measured and it was found to be lacking. So all the taharas, all the things that you made pure through it, are whether or not it was in Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Yachid, are tamei l'mafred. They're retroactively tamei. So just like just like we said, but it seems just like we said by a woman. So we we may go back to the last time that she checked. So to here also we may go back to the so to here by a according to Beis Hillel. So we're going to here we'll go back to the last time that second. Here we'll go back to the last time we checked the mikveh. Everything, meaning when you checked the mikveh and you saw that it had 60 saw, so that is so then obviously that would be a good mikveh. But anything past that, so we're going to say that it's anything that every time since the last time you checked and found it to be kosher, it's going to be assumed to be tamei until until you it's until um, from then on. I mean, from the last time you checked, it's going to be everything that you've made tahor everything that you've purified via this mikvah will now become impure. So now it says this seems like generally like closer to what Hillel said than what Rosh Shammai said. But we're going to see that it's a kasha on both. So it's the Shammai kasha lemafreya. So according to Shammai, it's a kasha because you go back retroactively and you say all the things that became tummy. We don't say that we have a chazaka from the mikvah, so therefore we should that the mikvah the chezkas kashrus, and therefore all of the taharas until now should be tahar, and just from now on it will be not be a good valid mikvah. Like he seems to say by Nidda that when she sees, that's when she becomes tummy. Lahil kasha, and according to Hillel, it's a kasha. The ilu me'es le'es shibni atolim le'oichlin le'sarfim. By the way, this is not really Hillel, right? Um, it's really Hillel and the Chachamim, right? Because Hillel doesn't say anything about le'es le'es. This is really a kasha according to Hillel and the Chachamim. But it just says Hillel because because that it's simpler to just say one. So it says the Hillel kasha because there's Nidda. So we're toiling we don't we so we the truma is not, even though we say that it's tummy, but we're not going to burn the truma like we would do by truma that certainly became tummy. It's in like a state of limbo. Um, so meaning we don't we so we don't eat it and we don't burn it. So in the case of mikvah shenim divnim chaser, so everything that became everything you made tahor, we're going to say immediately is totally tamei. will burn truma if as a result of this mikvah of something not being pure from this mikvah it became tummy, whereas they're not. So the Gemara says no. So it's saying no. There's a difference. It says there you could say that that even though it's true that the mikveh has a cheskes kashrus, but the thing that went into the mikveh has a cheskes tameh. So since you have a suffix if the mikveh was tameh, tahor was you have a suffix if the mikveh was a kosher mikveh from the last time you checked until now, because you know now it's not. So say that even though you have two conflicting status quos. You have the status quo of the mikveh, which you thought was kosher, and it was not, but we don't know when it became not kosher. And you have the status quo of the thing that you are trying to make pure, um, which had a status quo of being impure. So even though it's true that the status quo of the mikveh, maybe you'll say, oh, it's a good mikveh. So but the status quo of the item that you're putting into the mikveh has a problem, has this problem that it seems to be that it's has status quo being tummy. So we'll say so we'll say hemed tame al chaskase. So assume the status quo of the item that went into the mikveh ve'em le tavel, and say it did not go into a mikveh and therefore is not tahor. So then it says no. So that's here. Then we're going to say no. Adra behemen mikveh al chaskase ve'em le chaser. So it says no. So the Gemara says no, but I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you no. Make the mikveh, give the mikveh chazaka, and say that it didn't. Give the mikveh chazaka and say that it's not chaser. So just like I told you before, and the hemet tamal chaskasay ve'emeloi taval, but mice the mikveh chaskas kashrus. So we're pointing out there's a conflict here. So then it says harei chaser lefanecha. So then we say, but okay, fine, but we have now a chaser. It's chaser. It's chaser right in front of you. So it says hachanami hiridam lefanecha. So it says no because there's also blood right in front of you. So meaning, so how are you going to keep? So the woman also you shouldn't be have a cheskes kashrus because there's blood. So meaning because we're still asking why is a niddah more lenient than a mikvah than this case in the mikvah. So it says so we say no hashtu the chazai. So it says now is when it became now is when she saw. So it says hachanami hashtu the chaser. So it says maybe now also so here also now it became chaser. So the Gemara asks kachi hashta is it the same case? Hasam iklimer chaser v'asa. There it gradually became chaser. Hachama iklimer chazoi v'asa. But a woman sees it once. She sees. Meaning, a mikveh is gradually, whenever you go into a mikveh, you take out some water with you, right? So you go into the mikveh, you come out wet. That's water. So it's constantly becoming less and less. So, whereas a woman, she's not seeing blood all the time. So when she starts seeing blood, that's when we say she saw blood. So it says, "My kosher dilma hagas chazisei." So it says, what's the problem? Maybe um, maybe she had accumulated a lot of blood, and then it's just the overflow coming out. So really, meaning maybe this is a case where where it's coming out a little bit at a time because I'm not certain the anatomical and biological facts here. But it seems like we're asking that perhaps the woman um, um, is it's an accumulation of blood that's coming out. So yeah. So yeah, I'm not, so that's what it says. If you, I mean, we'll look at it inside here in Rashi, just so you know, I'm not making this up. It says Hakazakas say. I'm just gonna skip the I'm gonna skip the introductory part. It says, and just go to this part. Kloimer shehaya al yedei shehaya hadam rabba b'makar v'yotze matmat. So since there was a lot of blood in the uterus and it was going out slowly, kechardal ma she'ein hamaku yachol lachzika yotze matmat. That um, cardal is the case, whatever. Another case. Um, that whatever is, so basically it's filled up, and whatever is overflowing is coming out little by little. L'bayis achitzin, to the outer um, part of the outside of the makar. V'zeh kama yomim hitchil v'hi nitun mitivas dam gechardel. So this happens over many days, and she will become, and she's tame from the from a small amount of blood, even the size of a mustard seed, is excuse me, she'll become tame. Okay, so meaning that's Hagas because you say. I'm not totally sure about the anatomy of it. Okay. Haki ikatarkti luriusa, haki ikachaluriusa. So it says there. Here there is there's two things that are bad. Two things that are detracting from the chazaka, and and here there's only one thing that's detracting from the chazaka. Says Rashi, Tardiler Yusa, Hem etame al chazkasai. Second. So what are the two bad things? One is Hem etame al chazkas toma, that you should be you should have the object that went into the mikveh be maintain its cheskes toma, ubecheskes tar the mikveh ikereusa, and in the cheskes tar of the mikveh there's a problem, shrei chasel lefanecha, because we see that it's chaser. Aval be'isha, but with a woman there's only one. B'tidahu dikereisa shur cheskes tarasa ktas. Shrei down lefanecha. So only with her is there so with her there's a reisa that she has that her cheskes tara was made worse because you see blood. Mishum hachreisa l'chuda, but from that detractor alone, loy marin lahoyol but ubetaris lamishachas reisa. From that detractor alone, we were not going to make it worse, because the taharas don't have a reisa achrisa. There's no reisa there's no other reisa in the taharas. The chi amrus henim al cheskasam b'cheskes taharasim, because so meaning she's dealing with pure things. She's dealing with pure with yeah, with taharas, which have a cheskes tahara, right? Okay. So all this is going on in the mikveh case. Okay, so now we have the chavis case. So we ask, "My shna mi chavis." Ditnan hayabodik as a chavis. Leo is mafresh alei truma. Somebody was checking a barrel to be mafresh truma. Kol givul yamim and then it was found out to be that the wine became vinegar. Kol gimel yamim vadai. So the first 3 days is vadai. Mekan ve'elech safek, and then from then on it is a safek. Okay, so meaning the first 3 days we're gonna say. So this is apparently only a question on Beis Shammai, right? That's what Rashi says. That's what Rashi says here. Beis Shammai parak so hayabazik of chavis. Toyama impi b'chizkasa shloich mitza. You're checking to see that it didn't become chametz. Lias mavri le'kleimer liyos semech leya v'hoylech sheis shar chavias. So it's elis b'zeh lavr mimena aleihem lachazman truma nidlas mechshava. So okay, so basically you're gonna make the truma from here. So it says kol gimlim vada. So it says this is a pluktit of Yeshua of Yechon ben Levi Basra. So meaning there's going to be a machlokes in Basra beperkam cheres. What kol gimlim means. The Mishnah says kol gimlim vada, but it's not going to be clear what it means. Yechon oimer kol gimlim lachar dikri shayna shematz becheskasa. Vadayayin. So Reb Yochanan says the first 3 days after the first bdika that you found it in it, so that you found it to be wine, so still wine. V'im omer b'toich gimel yomim harei truma harei elu asmuchim kul musukanes. So if you said within those 3 days that from the time you checked it, this is that it's truma, so they're all becheskes mazukin. Umikan ve'elech safek truma, and from then on it's safek truma. Who yaksev yitrim, he yaksev yitrim, and so therefore since it's a safek, so we're going to be machmer, and we're going to tell you to go back and be tirim. Rishum Levi Omer, and Rishum Levi says no. Kol gimel yamim kaidim abdika acharena. So any the first three days before the last bdika, nimtzas chaymitz vaday chaymitz, and that it was found to be vinegar, so that's for sure vinegar. The kima the akshav chaymitz gomer huvane ein pachos migil yamim shehischel hachmitz. So since now it's totally chaymitz, it's totally vinegar, so it wouldn't be less than 3 days. So within the first 3 days, it was for sure becoming chaymitz already. Vima so v'toich oisim gil yom truma shel makom acher in a truma. So if he made truma with those 3 days from the last checking, so it's for sure not truma. This is according to Rebbe that says that wine and vinegar are two different things, so they can't be that you can't make truma on them at all. Mikan ve'elach l'matfer safek haviv the truma of yaksav yitrim. So because according to Rabbanan, so if you're term bad on good, meaning if you said that wine and vinegar are the same thing, just one is good and one is bad, so we hold a b'di'evid that works. So okay, but the point is that no matter what, you see whether or not you hold that it's 3 days from the first checking or 3 days from the last checking. It's a suffix, but you see that we're saying that it's bad lemafreya. We don't just say, oh, last time that as soon as you check it now, it's as soon as you checked it now, it's for sure good, right? As soon as you checked it now, since it had a chazaka that it was wine, you checked it before and it was wine. So we don't say that we should just keep it chazaka and that it must be good. It says kash l'shamai. So it says this is a kash l'shamai. That says because Shammai says that you should say Hemed Ishal Chazkasa that the woman has a chazaka that she's taught her and therefore you keep that chazaka. So it says no Hasim Shem Diklameimer Hevet Tevel Al Chazkasa Ivaim Lanasakin. So it says no because there again we have a chazaka on the thing on the rest of the wine that it's tevel, right? You're now tevel is usser. You can't eat tevel. You can't drink wine that's tevel. Tevel means wine that the proper tithes haven't been taken from. So if you haven't taken the tithes from it, so you're not allowed to. So it's usser. So so to aim or learn a second. So it says, but no. But what about the chazaka for the wine? So you should take the wine its chazaka and say that it didn't become chometz. So it says but it says no because you can't say that because we see that it became chometz. So no, but here also there's blood that's in front of you, so we can't say that she's not tummy. So just like so it says um, hashu the chazoi. So it says, but we're saying now now is when she saw. It says hasanami hashu the hechmetz. So it says no, but we'll also say now is when the wine became chometz. So the same question. So it says hachi hashta. Is this the same case? Hachi miklamemer hechmetz vasa, hechmetz vasa. Ach miklamemer chazoi vasa, chazoi vasa. So it says there where it's there wine becomes chaymitz gradually, but here do we say that? But here, but a woman sees blood all at once, and she doesn't see gradually. So it says, my question, what's the problem? What's the question? The same thing that we said by mikveh, maybe this thing where the womb fills up and it and just the overflow, and as soon as the first drop comes out, she's tamei. So maybe this is also she's seeing gradually, and she's tamei l'mafreya, and she became tamei a long time ago. So it says ha sazamika tartilerusa ha kiika chadlerusa. So it says no because there's two problems, right? Like we said before, there's tevel al cheskasai, hemet tevel al cheskasai. There's the um, there's the status quo of the rest of the wine that it's not tithed, right? And the only way that you would take the wine out, the only way that it would become tithed is if you took tithes from it, and the way that you're taking tithes is from this wine, is from the wine that which you now became, which now has a problem with it that it became which from this wine, and this wine also has a problem with it, which is that it is um, now now we see that it is vinegar. It became vinegar. It's spoiled. Okay. So basically the same cheshbon. Okay, so now we're in the next step of the Gemara, Rami Chavas and Mikvah. So we're saying, let's ask a steer of. We see that there's a difference between the case of Nidda and the case of a Chavis, and we see there's a difference in the case of Nidda and the case of the wine, right? Of wine that became chometz. The case of the case, because in both of those cases there are two problems. One is the problem that you're trying to fix something else, right? So the thing that was unfixed, meaning a woman who is taking truma, right? Who's dealing with taharas, right? So the things that she's dealing with, there's no problem with them. The only problem that would occur would be if she would become a nidda, then they would become tameh, which would be problematic. But as far as the things themselves, there's no problem with them. Whereas in this case, you're trying to fix something, so there's already a problem that whatever you're putting in the mikveh is presumably tameh. That's why you're putting in the mikveh. So the mikveh, and now the mikveh itself has a problem that it is that we see that it's chaser. So there's two problems. Whereas in the case of a woman, there's only one problem. But we're going to ask chavis a mikveh. So we're going to ask a question from chavis onto mikveh. Ma'ishna hacha vaday ma'ishna hacha safek. Um, so what's the difference between a mikveh that we say that all the taharas are done are for sure vaday tameh, and the case of the wine where we say it's a suffix. So Amar of Chanina Misura, Rav Chanina Misura says, Man Tana Chavis, who's the Tana that learns Chavis? So Rishimini, that's a Rishimin. The Legabe Mikvah, Nami Masafkale, that Rishimin, um, he also is misopik about a mikvah. So so here's we'll do the next Mishnah. So since it's non, we learn in Mishnah. Mikvah shenimda v'nimsa chaser. A mikvah that was measured and found to be lacking. Kol tahar shenasol gavav l'mafreya bein rishis rabba bein rishis yachid meyas. That a mikvah that was measured and found it to be lacking all of the pure things that were made on it retroactively, whether or not they're in rishis rabba, whether or not they're in rishis rabba are tamei. This is supposed to be Tanya, right? That's not really Mishnah Brisa, right? This thing over here. Right over here. Okay. And then now, so far this is like the Mishnah, and then it says Rishimin Omer. Rishimin says B'shasa Rabim Taharis and B'shasa Rabim de Tahar, and B'shasa Yachid Toilim, and if they're in the private domain, then you are Toila. Then you don't burn it, and you don't burn it, and you don't you can't eat it. It's the same case as Hillel says, right? That's the question we had. It says Hillel kasha that the Aser Shenil is toiling le'oichlin, and here it's vadai, right? So okay, so this brisa is a similar brisa. Okay, so just to recap what we said. We learned that the machlokes Beisham Beis Hillel is Beishamai holds Hemed Isha al Cheskase, that a Isha has a Cheskest Tahara, and so therefore she has since she was tahar, so we assume the status quo until we know different. And Hillel says that no, because it's a reis megufa that a woman the problem is a systemic problem. It's not a women. One of the things they do is they menstruate, and therefore she's more mu'adev alula hilachach. It's normal for her to see, and therefore she doesn't have any cheskes tahara. And then we said, so then we asked two questions. Then we asked two questions one on Hill and Shammai and one on just Shammai. The question we asked on Hill and Shammai is from mikvah. It says that a mikvah that was measured and found to be chaser. So all the taharas that were done on the mikvah are tamei. So since from the last time they checked, so for Hillel, for Shammai it's a question of Mafrei, and for Hillel it's a question that there it's vadai, and there we say that that the difference is that there you have there's two problems. One is the chazaka of the things that went into the mikvah, which obviously if you're putting in a mikvah, it has a chazaka that is tameh, and you're trying to make it tahor. And the chazaka and the problem of that right now that you found in the mikvah to be lacking. And then and whereas for a woman, for Isha, there's only one problem. There's only one detractor from the status quo, and that is that she saw now. But the things that she was dealing with, there's no problem with them at all. The only problem would come from this problem, and this problem she had we could, so for this problem we could rely on the status quo. And then we had another Mishnah about a chavis, a barrel that of wine that you checked and you saw that it was still wine to be mafresh truma, and then later you determined that that barrel should be truma. So so we say that for that there's some 3 day period that either that there's some sort of certainty either right after you checked it's certainly wine, or right before you checked it's certainly or right before you check the second time and found it to be vinegar, it's for sure vinegar for 3 days, either one way or the other way. So this is kasha according to Shah, but everything else is a suffix. So this is a problem according to Tashamai. Why? Because why don't we say Hemed Davar al that we should say that the wine you checked the wine, it was wine. Later became vinegar, but the status quo is wine, and therefore you shouldn't make it vinegar retroactively, and therefore to make things tevel. So it says no. There also we said the same thing. Since there's two problems with the chazaka, meaning you relying on this wine to take something out of the status quo of being tevel, of being something that's untithed and therefore forbidden to eat. So therefore, it's and the problem that the wine is now vinegar. So the two things will make it. Will say that it will be time retroactively, but one thing not. So then the Gemara says no, but let's ask a steer of chavis on mikvah that on a mikvah it's vadai, and on a chavis it's a suffix. Right? On a mikvah we said all the taharas that were done, whether in Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Hashanah, are tamei, and it sounds like it's vadai. Now the reason why it sounds as vadai, we should speak out, is that we're going to see on the next page that there's a difference between whether or not something is a questionable tumah in Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Hashanah. If a questionable tumah is in Rosh Hashanah, it's tamei, and if a questionable tumah is in Rosh Hashanah, it's tahor. So if you would say that all the taharas that were done on it, if they're in Rosh Rabim, they're tahor, and if they're in Rosh Yachid, they're tamei or the toilim, so then you would say it's a suffix. But if you would, but when you say whether it's Rosh Rabim or Rosh Yachid, it's tamei. It sounds like it's tamei for sure. There's no suffix, because if it was a suffix in Rosh Yachid, in Rosh Rabim, it should be it should be tahor. In Rosh Rabim, it should be tahor. So then it says, no, it's not a stira because it's really two different opinions. This opinion, the opinion of the Chavis, is really like Rabbi Shimon. The Rabbi Shimon says that he disagrees on on mikveh, and he says that also is a suffix, and that in Rosh Hashanah it's tahor, and in Rosh Hashanah it's tahor, and in Rosh Hashanah we're toilin. Okay.